Hi everybody. For the longest time, when it came to storing a collection of data, we've always had the array data type. Arrays have been around forever, they're pretty flexible, and they're pretty cool as data types go. Now, over the past few years, we have yet one more data type that's been introduced that allows you to store a collection of data, and that data type is the set. And in this video, we're going to learn more about what sets are, how to use them, and more importantly, what separates them from arrays so you'll know when to use the right one depending on what you are trying to do. So let's get started. The biggest difference between arrays and sets is whether duplicate values can be stored in them or not. With an array, there's no restriction on what you can store and how many of the same value you can store as well. You can add a value 1 billion times to an array, and that item would be added 1 billion times to it. There'll be no fuss about whether an item is unique or not. Sets are not quite like that. Sets try to ensure that the value you store happens to be unique. So if you're adding an item multiple times, only the first time you're adding that item is the only time it will be added to the set. So that is really the biggest difference. The rest of the fun stuff about sets and arrays, and primarily sets again, happens to be in how we actually use them. So I'm going to go ahead and jump from here into the code editor to see how this all works. Now, instead of jumping to VS Code or another kind of a code editor, I'm just going to do everything in the console itself. So here behind me, you can see the article diving into sets displayed on the screen. You can use any blank page that you want. I figured instead of you clicking on the link at the very bottom to get to this place, you can sort of see it in the background while you're seeing the set code being created right now. And so what I'm going to do now is just start adding to the console the various things you need to make a set actually come to life. So first of all, let's go and create our set object. The way we create a set object is by just declaring it. So my set equals new set. And you can now see that I have an object called my set created of type set. Now with arrays, you have multiple ways of creating them. You have many ways actually that seem very strange but end up creating an array at the end. With a set, you only have one approach. You have the constructor approach by using the new keyword and then the value set. And now from here, to add items to our set, we use the add method. So my set.add, and let me add the string blarg. Blarg. So now blarg has been added, and I can just keep adding things as I would like to. My set.add 10. Adding the add method is crucial. And then you can add pretty much any kind of value that you want. It's pretty flexible in that sense. So right now I have my set.add true, and now we can see that the contents of my set are blarg, 10, and true. Let me go and just clear my console just to make it a little easier to see things. But now, let's say that I want to do one more thing. We already know that my set contains blarg, 10, and true. What if I were to add another value of blarg to my set? I do my set.add, and I'm going to add blarg again, knowing full well that blarg is already contained within my set when I hit enter. When I do that, nothing really shows up on my screen like there's a warning or an error, but you can see the contents of my set have not changed. It still says there are 3 items, blarg, 10, and true, despite me adding blarg many, many times. See, I keep adding it, nothing happens. Set is pretty much as cool as a cucumber and keeping things pretty unique. Now, here's the thing though. The way that checking for duplicate works is by value, but it is also a way to ensure some of the quirks that JavaScript always has in terms of checking equality of values. Those quirks are still maintained. Let me talk about this one more in an example. So let another set equals new set. So have another set here, and let me do another set dot add true, just adding more values to it. Let me do another set add instead of doing true. Let's do ABC. And here's where we're going to do a little bit something different. Another set.add, and I'm going to add an array with the values 1, 2, and add this in. So now we can see that we have the value true, the string ABC, and then an array with 2 items inside of it. And I'm going to add this array one more time. So another set.add array 1 and 2. And once I've done this, notice what you see here. You see that the value that for the array that we've added, both of them show up in our set. And what exactly is going on here? Though what's going on is that just like with other forms of equality checking in JavaScript, even though these arrays to us as human beings looks almost identical, realistically though, they're considered 2 completely different objects. So when it's checking for that, the object that's referencing it are very, very different. It is almost the equivalent of kind of like, let me go and clear everything out one more time and clear everything out. Let's just do another set I see this here. Let me say that I declare my array called myArray equals bracket 1 dash 2. This is in this case though, right? Let me create another set. Let foo equals new set. In this case, let me do foo.add myArray. You'll see that array 1 has been added. Foo.add myArray again. And now what do you think is going to be the result of this? And the result of it is going to be the array has been added only once, because in this case we have one object referencing the array 1 and 2, and therefore in the same object is considered equal in the world of JavaScript, but having the two values be added separately is considered two completely very different objects. Now there's a few more tricks that I want to quickly cover before we call it a day. Now I did mention that the way we create a set, you only have one approach, but that doesn't mean that we can't create a set by pre-filling it with some custom values. So I'm going to let some values is going to be an array. I'm going to do A, B, C, 10, another A, just to add some duplicate content to it, and then false. So here I have an array with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 items in it. Now to create my array, my set, I can do let new set equals new set, and then instead of having it be an empty constructor for some value for the set, I can actually pass in the value of some values. And now when I do that, I have my new set created, and if I inspect its contents, notice what you see here. You see 5 items, and all the initial items from here are added to the set, but all the duplicate values have been filtered out. So for example, even though array had 2 values of A and then 2 values for C, our set only has the unique versions of them, where you only see A, B, C, 10, and false. And so that is kind of pretty cool. And we can also do interesting things like pass in a string. The way it is, to be technical, what we can pass in is not just an array, it has to be an iterable object, something you can use the for of loop on. So I can do let another cool set equals new set, and instead type in diplodocus. My daughter's big into dinosaurs now, and so this is a dinosaur that I hear a lot of. So if we were to create a new set with this string as a part of it, notice what happens here. Another cool set, and you can now see that our contents of the string are now added as individual items, but just like before though, duplicate values have been removed. So even though the letter D happens to appear multiple times, letter O happens to appear multiple times, they're all only simplified to having only one particular instance. So the last thing we're going to do is have another cool set option. Let me go and clear the console, which for some reason isn't clearing very easily as I would like it to do. Okay, there it is. And the last thing we're going to do is check the size of our set. And so another cool set dot size. And you can see that letter 8 shows up. And if you were to add more items to it, it'll increase the size. If you were to remove items to it, it'll remove some items. And I did say checking the size of the last item we'll look at. Actually, removing items is one of the last things we will look at. And that is, so let me create a new variable where robot sounds equals new set. And I'm going to have items like beep, if I can type properly, boop, and who dis. Okay, an unexpected token, what's going on? That's right. I basically forgot to add the constructor opening. All right, now we have our robot sounds. And so now what I can do is I can delete a value from this very easily. So what I'm going to do is if robot sounds, actually I'm going to do it more simply, robot sounds dot delete, and I'm going to go ahead and delete the value who dis from here. And when I do that, you can see true because that value has actually been deleted. And if I inspect the values of robot sounds, you'll now see that beep and boop are there, but the value of who dis is no longer there. So the delete method is how you make sure that you can remove items from it. And then to check if an item exists, just like in more traditional settings, you can actually do robot sounds and then do a check for has, use a has method, and then see if there is a sound here. So in this case, it would be boop, true, that's clearly there. But if I were to check for who dis, which I removed earlier, it'll return false. And you can see the console kind of telling you this very quickly as well. And so the And related to this is also how do you just loop through items in a set. So let's go back and let's do let text set equals new set diplodocus. So you have our value here. And the way we can actually see the letters of each item is not by using, and there's no index property, there's no like a for loop you can type in and iterate through every index position. Instead, what we can do is do another for loop and do let text letter of text set, and then do a console.log of each letter, and then close the bracket. I mean, I'm basically trying to be cognizant of the fact if I hit enter properly, it'll execute the code. So I'm using a soft enter, shift and enter to make it look proper. And if you hit enter though, you'll see that each part of the word ends up showing up here with duplicate values, of course, removed. Now there are some other things around like being able to only look at the keys and values of a set. That's not particularly interesting. I've never found a real life case for it, but if you do want to take a look at that, be sure to check out the article by clicking on the link at the bottom so you can see how to do the keys and values and sets approach from there. And so there you have it, a very quick overview of how to use sets to make things happen. Now, sets are great for cases where you want to make sure you have a unique collection of items, and that comes up quite often in a lot of settings. And because set is a built-in type, it tends to be faster than any implementation you might have created using arrays or extending an array to do something more special with your own logic. So if you ever need a case where you need to ensure uniqueness of a collection of data, use a set. And there's a bunch more examples on the website that touch upon how set is used even in cases where you might not think it would be appropriate, because in other programming languages you have hash tables, you have sets, you have hash sets, you have a collection of various data types for doing this. In JavaScript we don't have quite that many. Set is the first of what I hope will be many similar data types that can be used to manipulate data better. And so we'll start with set for now, and then we'll cover other topics as they get introduced to the language in the future. So with that, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Easiest way is to post on forum.kirupa.com so that I or many other knowledgeable people can very quickly help you out and point you in the right direction. Please do not post on the comments here in YouTube or on Twitter or somewhere else, because the formatting options are not great, and there's a very good chance I'll probably miss them as well because it's not indexed in the most logical way sometimes. So with that, if you found this video interesting, please tell your friends and enemies all about it. Sets should not be something that's localized just to you and I. Everyone should know about sets. Hit subscribe to be notified of more videos as I keep creating them. Follow me on Twitter at KIRUPA, or pretty much anywhere KIRUPA is a username. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, all these places, so feel free to follow me. If you follow some other KIRUPA, that's cool as well. There's some other pretty cool KIRUPAs out there, so you won't feel wrong in following them instead. And of course, buy my book. There's a book on JavaScript beginners that'll cover sets as well, but there are going to be more books in the future that cover more in-depth topics like this. So, buy the book, use the ebook version if you care about the environment, buy the paperback version if you don't care about the internet quite as much, but it is recyclable material though, so you can totally read it and recycle it, or better yet, give it to a library or give it to another friend who might benefit from learning from more of a book setting than a traditional screen setting. So with that, I will see you all next time.